What's up, gingos? Today I just want to talk about this idea of dopamine. It's a very, very intriguing topic to me, and I've been doing so much research on like the internet, and like with the internet, when you do research, all the information is like sporadic, it's everywhere, and like you're hearing different opinions or whatever, right? But I finally found a book that I had in my list, and I finally opened it up, and as soon as I started reading, I was like, oh my god, I know it's gonna be super hard to put down this book, and it has been, right? And it's a book. The book is called The Molecule of More, and it's about like dopamine, and it's like different like dopamine and love, dopamine and drugs and stuff like that, right? And just from like the first chapter alone, I have learned so much not only about dopamine itself, but about myself because I've been tracking my own dopamine for like 2-3 years now, and I see what gives me a lot of dopamine, what gives me a little bit, and I've been cutting out the things that give me bad dopamine, like going to the gym, taking cold showers, reading a book are good sources of dopamine, right? But like watching prawn or being on social media or eating chocolate or like junk food in general, right? Bad dopamine, right? And typically the bad dopamine sources give you a lot of it and the good ones give you a little bit. So then you need to like kind of regulate it so that your mind doesn't because when you go on a dopamine high, like say you consume something that gives you a lot of dopamine, like drugs or something, you go on a dopamine high, and like just like any other high, when you go up, you need to come down, right? And so that period, so like whatever drug you take gets you to that high, and whatever when you come down, it's like the worst feeling ever. Like you feel sad, you feel lethargic, you just want to sleep. It's like the worst state of mind to be in, and I hated that. So I wanted to track my dopamine so I can avoid that at all cost. And one of the worst forms of dopamine is like prawn, masturbation, drugs, right? Those are from the top of my head are the three worst ones, right? And that's what people are like. You're not supposed to do those things, right? And from the book, it has like when I've been tracking it, right, and I've been reading based on my own experience. I wrote out my own theories based on my own experience, my own data, and everything. And I would read other people's opinions on it through YouTube videos or Reddit or whatever, right, forums. And some of the things wouldn't correlate with what I was going through. So I was like, there's something definitely off, right? And obviously each person, we're all humans, we're all relatively similar, but we all have our differences. And so when I would read theirs and I would be like, you know what, that doesn't really, like some people I would hear, right? Like the whole idea of like NoFap is to like track your dopamine and not be like so dopamine induced, right? Because every time you masturbate and watch porn, you're like, you get mass amounts of dopamine, and then you eventually like you feel post-nut clarity and sadness and all of that bullshit, right? So then that was like one of the first things I tracked or whatever, right? And so when I would look into it and I would track myself, they would be like, yeah, when I stopped uh when I started NoFap, I felt so powerful. I felt like I was floating and this and that. That's all like jokes or whatever. But like what they meant was essentially they start feeling driven, right? They start feeling like the need to like accomplish everything. Like they want to just get goals. Like they now they have the energy to go to the gym. Now they have the energy to start that business. Now they have the energy to wake up early. All these things, right? That are relatively hard to do. And like I even remember watching like streams like Agent from AMP and Mizkif, the big Twitch stream. They literally talked about the same thing with NoFap, where once they started it is when they started their streaming career, and that's when they started taking off, right? And when I would do it, I wouldn't feel that level of power or energy or whatever, right? Some of the times I did, right? I would start waking up early. I would see that I wouldn't need as much sleep or food, and I would be like, wait, this is kind of interesting, right? And that's when I kept tracking. But over enough period of time when they would like break or like start again or whatever, right? I started noticing it wasn't as great as they would described it. And from this book, I've realized obviously it's dopamine is different for everyone, but some people are genetically made to be driven, right? And based on like everything that's happened in my past and my theories and everything, I think I'm one of those genetically driven people where it's like these people tend to be people who love the chase. They love the pursuit, right? When it comes to women, business, money, gym, everything, right? Any entity you could think of where there's like some sort of like goal to have or be like go towards, I've been like that for every single entity of mine, like video games, school, gym, girls, right? There's always this like need to go after something, to accomplish it. And once you get it, you never feel happy, right? That's the bad thing, right? Like you're genetically driven to be happy, but you'll never ever feel everlasting happiness, because everything for you, the happiness comes from the pursuit, not the actual thing. So you can aim to get $1 million, you can aim to have abs, you can aim to get the most prettiest girl, but once you have it, you'll never actually feel happy, because that's you thought the goal was what you wanted, but it was really just a pursuit, right? That's like the negative or whatever you want to say. And the other opposite is people who are able to just feel relaxed and present in the moment, and they're able to, grasp it all in, right? And I remember like hearing about this in Chris Williams' podcast where he talked about like there's two people, one person who has to constantly like there's two people in the pool, one person trying to learn how to swim and move faster and just do better, right? Just enhance himself, and the other person is on a floaty in the middle of the pool, be able to relax and enjoy the present moment. And he was talking to Alex Ramosi in the video, and Alex Ramosi was like, yeah, I'm definitely the guy who's trying to learn and do better. I'm not able to just sit there and relax. And I agreed with the same thing. Just like even the idea of just sitting in the pool and just laying there for like even more than 5 minutes sounds like horrible to me. Like if I'm gonna be in the pool, like I want to be learning how to swim. I want to be playing volleyball with other people. I want to be doing something active, right? So those are the two different types of people that he talked about in the video. And I was like, wait, that makes so much sense. And now this was like months ago. So now when I'm reading the book, it's like some people are just genetically driven, right? And obviously I think there's good in that, but in the book they said these genetically driven people, this was in the chapter of love, so there was a lot of topics and ideas correlated with the idea of like sex and relationships and love and all of it, right? But it talked about, like I said, masturbating, right? When you get into the orgasm or whatever, right? It's either through masturbation or through with a partner, right? It does have different things, but typically when you get into this, what's released in your brain is called a here and now chemical, right? And that here and now chemical makes you literally enjoy the present, right? So people who are highly driven, when they orgasm, they have the here and now chemical be released in their brain, and they're able to really absorb the present moment and enjoy the present moment per se, right? Which is something that they're not typically aligned with, right? They're typically always looking towards the future rather than the present because they're always looking for the pursuit. And I have felt that a numerous amount of times, and I always felt like when I was in that phase, right? I was like, damn, like my life right now is not that good, or it is really good, or whatever. I was able to really grasp in the moment, right? But normally when I'm not in that like phase, all I can think about is the future. It's all like I don't even want to talk to people because I'm like, I need to get to the next thing. I need to get to the next thing. I need to get to the next thing, right? And like even when I'm with like a girl or something, right? When I'm trying to like link her or talk to her, get to know her, that's like the fun part. But then when I actually like link her or we actually do stuff or whatever the case may be, it's like I'm like, oh, damn, this is kind of a waste of time. I need to go to the gym now. I need to go start my business. I need to do something, right? So it's like I'm always in this like mindset of pursuit, and I didn't understand why I was like this until this book. So it was such an interesting concept because there's definitely other people who feel like this, who are like always like looking for the next thing. They're always looking for the chase, and I think it's more prevalent in men than it is women. And I feel like that's why women are typically more happier in the present and what's just happening now rather than men. Men are always just like, damn, I need to do more. I need to do more. And I think it also is it's correlated with testosterone, because even in the book they said like the more testosterone you have, the more libido you have, right? And so the more libido you have, the more horny you are. The more horny you are, it leads to you wanting to orgasm. You orgasm, and then you get into the here and now. And once you get into the here and now, you absorb the present moment. That window, that phase eventually closes out, and then you go back to just generating testosterone, and now you're back into the idea of what pursuit can I do, and that's exactly what's been, that was like it within my theory, but I didn't know how to word it the way she did, the author. I think it's a girl, but it's such an interesting concept because it's like a whole loop. And if you are someone who's highly driven, and you're genetically driven, if you are just a naturally driven and ambitious person, you most likely are genetically driven. And if you have a lot of testosterone, I feel like I have a lot of testosterone. I should probably get it tested, but it's just based on my age, based on other whatever, and just like me having a good, being healthy. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I have a good amount of muscle on my body. I just know I have a lot of testosterone, and that's why it creates a lot of libido. And the libido, like again, this is all so prevalent for me, and I know it's prevalent for other people. They just don't know what words, because I never read upon anything like this in like the Reddit forums, and I know people felt like this because some people would always be like, oh, I don't feel like that, I don't feel that powerful, this and that, right? But in my head now I'm thinking it's like, if you can essentially not manipulate yourself, but if you can control when you want to go on the pursuit and when you want to go on to like a here and now, because you don't always want to be in the pursuit, right? Because eventually we know if you keep going on different pursuits, yeah, you'll be like happy chasing, and then when you get it, you won't be as happy. Like that's what happened with me in the gym, right? When I was fat, all I wanted to do was have abs, and when I got the abs, I was like, damn, that's it. I don't really give a fuck about this anymore. But I kept going to the gym because I understood all the benefits that came along with it, right? So no matter what you do, you won't ever be able to stop yourself from going on different pursuits, which I think is a good thing. You should continue chasing your goals or whatever. But when you do release or have an orgasm or whatever it may be to like bring you down, or like have here and now chemicals being released. I don't know what else. I'm gonna do more research on that, but I don't know what else releases here and now chemicals. But let's just say, use that example of orgasm. If you orgasm and then you have the here and now chemicals, really absorb the moment, be present, be happy, use it to your advantage. Don't just be like, I can't wait to, like, eventually you're gonna go back into that state of drivenness and where you just want to work and work and work and just accomplish your goals. But while you're in the state of here and now, use it to your advantage. You have the most clarity at that time. You're in a mindset of ease. You're at relaxation, right? You can think of the things to do that will actually bring you happiness because you're in the state of mind that has everlasting happiness, right? On top of the fact that you can also like essentially take a break from your like really driven lifestyle or personality, like if you're anything like me where you're just constantly chasing and doing things, and take a break and say, okay, what are the things that I'm actually doing that are actually getting me to where I want to go? What are the things I'm doing that is kind of waste of time or whatever, that I could just like better allocate my time, right? Essentially use your here and now phase to your advantage. I think that's like the best thing that we can do. That's what I've been theorizing in my head like literally just now, and I had to make a video on this because there has to be other people who think just like this and they feel this weird thing after they're like in a post-orgasmic phase or whatever, right? If you can use it to your advantage, if you find other ways to use it, if you find other like things that get you into the here and now phase, put in the comments whatever it may be. I'm gonna read everything, but I'm telling you, if you can, like, essentially if you're like me, if you're naturally driven, you essentially have two personalities. Let's just say one who's like constantly driven, wanting to achieve goals, and most likely will achieve his goals because you're just driven. It's naturally in you to achieve those things. It will hurt you more not to achieve than it would to achieve. And then you have the state of here and now, that which you now understand and can use. Because before I would like get into that phase and I'd be like, I don't know what's going on. Why don't I want to work anymore? Why don't I do this and that, right? But now I understand it. So now I can be like, okay, because I'm here right now, let me ask myself some clear questions. Let me use my clarity to my advantage, and then I can go back. Eventually, I'll just go back to my driven state, and you can also control it in terms of like how often you actually want to orgasm or release the here and now chemicals. Because if it's like you're on a project and you need the momentum to keep you going forward like a rocket, you don't want to stop in the middle of the space, right? You want to keep going. So then I'd be like, you know what? I cannot get distracted by women right now. I cannot get distracted by a potential partner. I need to just finish this project out. I need to finish out this pursuit. Even if you know it's not going to bring you happiness, you don't know what it's going to bring you. Maybe it can bring you happiness. The gym doesn't really bring me happiness anymore, I'll be honest, but I still go because of how much other benefits it brings me. I think the same thing will happen with business. The same thing will happen with content. I think the same thing will happen with one partner eventually, I hope, right? And that's all you can do. Keep pursuing until you find something you actually enjoy, and then keep it around. And in the end, we're all going to fucking win.